How are you people? Welcome back to the channel on Aurora IS. Hope you're doing great with your preparation mode on a high note. So on this very auspicious word, let's start the session on accountability on ethical governance, which forms part 3 of Ethics in Public Administration Unit 6. So what's accountability? Let's see this topic has been recurring right from the day one, like the chapter 1 itself. Somewhere or the other, the accountability is a very important topic. As such, it is overlapping with all the other chapters. So let's understand this discussion with a brief manner. So I'll tell you, accountability is nothing but, suppose you have been given, you're the class monitor, you have been given a task of collecting money of per person 10 rupees from every one of the individual in the classroom from your friends for a celebration like an Independence Day celebration. You need to put some interior decoration into the classroom, so you are given the in charge. So you collect the money and you give it to the teacher. Suppose there is a lacuna, like one person hasn't given and you have just overlooked it. So the teacher, whom are you answerable to? You are answerable to your teacher. Your teacher will ask you that what has happened, why has one person not given, why is the calculation coming as a mistaken one. So this is what the accountability is all about, because the teacher is not going and asking the person who is not giving it. She will in a way ask you because you are the class monitor and you have the responsibility of collecting it. The same way in the public administration also you have the accountability of performing the tasks. Like who are you accountable to? There are two types of accountability. One is horizontal, one is vertical. Horizontal accountability is nothing but CAG, estimates committee, public accounts committee would be doing it. Whereas on the other hand, the vertical accountability is through the vertical hierarchy. Like you are accountable to your boss at the departmental level. The departmental boss is accountable to the secretary level. The secretary level at the state boss would be accountable to your national level chief secretary. So this is what the hierarchy goes on, where you have to be accountable or responsible for all the actions you have taken in accomplishing a task, whether the task is successful or not. It is what through an example I have just mentioned it here. Suppose you have been assigned as assistant collector in your initial posting. They have your boss has told you, your departmental boss has told you that you have to find the beneficiaries list for a scheme. The scheme says that all the people or all the locality members, whoever have one girl child, at least one girl child in their house, they'll be getting a 10,000 rupees, owing to the condition that they should come under a BPL category. So you start identifying the beneficiaries based on the select criteria. So you make the list and give it to your boss. Suppose if he finds any discrepancies here, that some of the individuals, although they don't exist in the BPL category, have been given or some have been excluded, so who he will be asking? He will be asking you that what is wrong with this list or how it should be improved and all that. So you are in a way accountable to your boss. This is all in all the accountability principle. So in the vertical level, the hierarchy is there in the bureaucratic structure, and on the horizontal level we have institutions like the CAG, the estimates committee, public accounts committee, which will audit the planned expenditure of the nation and the state governments. That is horizontal accountability. Here in the accountability principle, the tasks are very clearly laid and the time and the budget details for the completion of the task is very properly laid down, and the clear laid down procedure itself shows the reporting progress and completion of the task. Okay, so accountability on three grounds it is differentiated. Responsibility is taken as well as for a cause and an obligation, where HLA Hart is a person in the public administration who has given a fourfold classification. You have a role responsibility, casual responsibility, liability, as well as capacity responsibility, based on which you will be given the accomplishment of the task. Now let's go into the governance portion. You can start off your answer, any of the answer, when the governance comes in with this quotation like, governance is different from the government. So because governance is nothing but the stakeholders' interests are articulated into the policy making by exercising their rights, and the differences are resolved. That is where the governance stands apart from the government. Government is a actual structure. There's the legislature, there is judiciary, there is executive, but this structure is nowhere defining any of these values or services to the people. So what is defining the stakeholders and their interests? It is governance. So that is where the concept of e-governance also comes from. So the governance is nothing but the administrative measures and procedures and policies that fulfills the category of being ethically good, as well as handling all the public affairs like the various sectors like public healthcare, education, social security. And why you should be ethically accountable or responsible? Because there are principles like justice, fairness, equality and integrity which you have to cater as a public servant. And then civil servants ought to keep up their promises through their devotion to duty and compassion to the people. They take good care of the public affairs, and these people also command and prohibit such kind of obligations through their actions. And bad governance always violates the norms. That's why going towards the good governance is the notion of today's government of any country, in fact not in just India, all over the world. And ethicality in applying the governance principles is for a well-being of the society by following the rules. So some of the ethical and moral values that we often utilize or use or derive from the governance is code of conduct, code of ethics, upward and downward accountability and transparency in the governance. There should be probity. What is probity? I have already discussed about this topic. You can just go and see the video regarding it. Probity is nothing but another form of integrity, where the integrity shown in towards the duty, towards your actions when you are in the place or a position is probity. Otherwise, integrity is showing at a level of your ethical behavior. Then you have to have the leadership values, follow the modern values of governance like e-governance, and are not following any unethical practices by protecting the human rights, security, health, safety and welfare of the people, by building the social capital. Social capital is nothing but strengthening the civil society organizations to exercise the rights, and conflicts will be resolved properly by mobilizing the financial resources. So next comes the democratization and the decentralization government, when the powers reach till the root of the actual structure in the whole governance, that is where the real democracy is achieved according to Gandhiji also. That is where you have to also enable the private sector development, go hand in hand with it. So there are some of the reforms that are required in the governance structure. I have categorized them into the five sectors basically. One is about constitutional reforms, where federation unitary system has to be followed. Power structure has to be, separation of powers have to be there in every other organization. Nobody has an influence, nobody has an overtake on the other departments or other level of organizational administrative ability. And then you have to always have these electoral reforms based on the types of representations and qualifications of the voters, as well as modifying the rules and voting procedures timely to destabilize the corrupt practices and electoral unethical practices going on. Right, the next reforms would be in the form of governance. Governance is nothing but at national, regional, local levels, the roles and the responsibilities of the different departments have to be really laid out. Such a relationship will lead to a coordination and cooperation among all the dispute resolutions bodies as well as the settlements. And then comes the administrative reforms. Administrative reforms are nothing but the bureaucratic accountability and transparency is increased through the code of conduct. And what we need in this hour is a code of ethics for the civil servants, because the public service values are ensured only through these administrative reforms. And then the innovative governance structures. E-governance is one of the example that the governments of the state-wise are coming up. So at the national level, as well as having a cooperative federalism, this structure of innovation in the governance has to take place. So you can always end an answer whenever ethics in governance or accountability or any kind of a foundational value for civil servants is asked for. The quotation says that, in fact, the line says that ethical framework of governance is a fabric of having integrity, honesty and selfless devotion to the service, so has to strive for the idealistic ethical and moral standards. That is why we have to be ethical in governance. So this is the portion that I would want to intend with this brief video on accountability and ethical governance, where we have dealt with the accountability portions. I've given an example of how, if you are assigned with a task of beneficiaries, listing out the beneficiary of a scheme, and how would lay this task and whom are you accountable to. There are two types of accountability, upward and vertical, upward and horizontal, and we have already seen the kind of different kinds of responsibilities that are laid as an accountability principles. Then governance, difference between governance and government, as well as the strengthening ethical and moral values in governance. What needs to be done? We need especially the code of conduct and code of ethics mandatory being made for all the ministers at the legislatures and judiciary level too. So there are kinds of different reforms also we have discussed, like constitutional, electoral, governance, administrative and innovative reforms. So that is all for this session in the accountability and ethical governance session. So stay blessed, happy learning. Please comment below all your feedback on all your queries regarding any other kind of educational videos you want me to make for you, so that can be helpful for your preparation. Jai Hind.